The toad slept very soundly, and no amount of shaking could rouse him out of bed next morning. So the rat and mole turned to, and while rat sorted the horse and lit a fire and got things ready for breakfast, the mole trudged off to the nearest village, a long way off, for milk and eggs, which the toad had of course forgotten. The two animals were thoroughly exhausted by the time Toad appeared, fresh and gay, remarking what a pleasant and easy life they were leading now, after the cares and worries of housekeeping at home. They had had a pleasant ramble that day over grassy downs and camped, as before, on a common, only this time the guests took care the Toad should do his share of the work. Next morning they lay across country narrow lanes, and it was not till the afternoon that they came out onto their first high road, and there disaster sprang out on them. They were strolling along, the mole by the horse's head, since the horse had complained that he was being left out of it, the toad and the water rat walking behind the cart, talking. At least Toad was talking, and Rat was saying at intervals, "Yes, and what did you say to him?" and thinking all the time something very different. When behind them they heard a warning hum, like the drone of a bee. Glancing back, they saw a small cloud of dust, with a dark centre of energy, advancing on them at an incredible speed. While from out of the dust wailed a faint poop, poop. In an instant the peaceful scene was changed. The poop, poop ran with a brazen shout in their ears, and with a blast of wind and a whirl of sound that made them jump for the nearest ditch. The motor car, its pilot tense and hugging his wheel, was on them. It flung a cloud of dust that blinded them utterly, and then dwindled to a speck in the far distance. The old grey horse, rearing, plunging, backing steadily, in spite of all the mole's efforts at his head, drove the cart backwards towards the side of the road. It wavered, and there was a heart-rending crash, and the canary-coloured cart lay on its side in a deep ditch. "You villains!" shouted the rat, shaking both fists. "You scoundrels! You road hogs!" Toad sat in the middle of the road, his legs stretched out before him, his eyes fixed on the dusty wake of the motor car. He breathed short, and at intervals murmured, "Poop, poop." The mole was trying to quiet the horse. The rat came to help him. "Hi, Toad! Bear a hand, can't you?" The Toad never budged. He was in a sort of trance, a happy smile on his face. The real way to travel," he murmured. "The only way to travel. Oh, bliss! Oh, poop, poop! And to think I never knew, never even dreamt, but now I know what dust clouds should spring up behind me as I speed on my way. What carts I will fling into the ditch! Horrid carts! Common carts! Canary-coloured carts!" "What are we to do with him?" asked the mole. "Nothing," replied the rat. "You see, I know him of old. He has got a new craze, and it always takes him like that. Like an animal in a happy dream. Quite useless. Never mind him. Let's see about the cart." A careful inspection showed them that the cart would travel no longer. The axles were in a hopeless state, and one wheel was shattered into pieces. The rat took the horse by the head. "Come on," he said to the mole. "We shall just have to walk to the nearest town." "But what about Toad?" "Oh, bother Toad. They had not proceeded very far, however, when there was a pattering of feet behind them, and Toad caught them up. "Now look here, Toad, as soon as we get to the town, you'll go straight to the police station and lodge a complaint against that motor car." "Complaint? Me? Complain? Of that beautiful, heavenly vision? That swan, that sunbeam, that thunderbolt!" The rat turned from him in despair. "I give up." On reaching the town, they went straight to the station and deposited Toad in the second-class waiting room, giving a porter 10 and to keep a strict eye on him. They left the horse at a stable inn and gave what directions they could about the cart. Eventually, a slow train having landed them not far from Toad Hall, they escorted the spellbound Toad to his door. Then they got out of their boat and sculled down the river, and at a very late hour sat down to supper in their own cosy parlour. The following evening, Mole, who had been taking things easy all day, was sitting on the bank fishing, when the rat came strolling along to find him. "Heard the news?" he said. There's nothing else being talked about on the whole river." Toad went up to town by an early train this morning, and he has ordered a large and very expensive motor car.